Have you noticed where so many millions of powerful bawling beasts lay down on the earth and died? It's hard to tell now what's bone
The first
and what merely
record
was
of
once.
Aqua Alta dates back to 1240, when waters were above man height in the streets. It is something people have learned to live with, but increasingly,
What magic
the
enchanted
dampness
can
and
reverse the
complications
river?
caused in daily life are becoming unbearable. Today,
Final
in winter,
limbs twitching
raised walkways are out
in a
most of the
sea of
time in
plasma.
low-lying areas and along strategic routes, such as from the railway station. Water wells up from drains to pool in the city's squares and courtyards, and may flow over the canal banks. Many entrances to buildings, schools, shops, storerooms, and church crypts flood, while most ground floor dwellings have been abandoned. Even emergency services are jeopardized by high waters when water level in the canals leaves too little space under bridges for the fire boats and ambulances. The present situation is worse on the whole of water level did not rise only by comparing data over many buildings are also challenged by waves set up under attack. Stirred up sediment clogs the canals under attack and obstructs the ancient sewage system. The impact on the people is not a new under attack, is not a new phenomenon, but the damaging effects of flooding touches above reference many times in the past, and the square has been under attack, creates a sucking force, eroding sediment, and our goals are to restore and re-equilibrate the lagoon and
If nature
eliminate
is still at work on it,
the causes of environmental degradation phenomena, there can still be no philosophy. The question why anything exists is the most embarrassing that philosophy could ever have asked itself. Creator, just as we now see slightest doubts, philosopher not suspect having given himself up entirely to his own reflection, conscience, feelings, passions, signs, gestures, sounds, articulated sounds, a language, laws, sciences, and arts that millions of years elapsed between each of these developments, that, unknown to us, it may have further developments still to undergo and further accretions to acquire, that it has experienced or will experience a period of stability, just as in the vegetable and animal kingdoms. An individual begins, so to speak, grows, continues to exist, degenerates, and is no more. So it might well be with species in their entirety. Reversing the river. Lost in the flood. Lost in the flood. We're broken. Libraries up the side of here, not looking away. Not enough sleep. Not the war. Not the easiest. What I need going. Waiting for a little. What is this? Waiting. What is this? Built to shake ourselves. Cry as fixing. Cry as tiny cry. Fit in your blood splatters, promising growth in the forest of over a billion tears an hour. The human, it's not a romance slipping incinerator. Permission, please. Permission to globe instead of years of lonely, to agree with nothing. Please, before we're obliged to concede to alternate paths. Voices from a come back. A future war pains me. We are without the timing of the beetle, a sound that cannot get to where we left our homes in shame. We are without a sound that cannot get to what we, without the timing of where we are timing left our homes in, that cannot get to the beetle, a sound without the timing of where to we left in shame. Sharp twitching with speaking, bending time to an agrarian impulse, the church of the nerve for honey, the guy in a bee, armored with it. If anyone was promised, oh, United States, you're a sack of bring the kid home, you stupid fuck up. Earth works, thick round mud, clinging, pulling a body down. Dear wounded earth, cry, the sound, the hope, ancestral rights to turn. But I know the truth in saying shovel and sift until history rewritten, that things seem unreal, returns to a door left open as a way out, a past to claim, yet another stone lifted to throw against the enemy, making way for new endings, random seeds spreading over. I have been writing a war poem every morning for 6 years. All I want is to write a love poem, but I am American, and everyone except other Americans understands this futile dream. A dirge, a lamentation for Earth to live again. Earth that is all at once a grave, a resting place, a bed of new beginnings, avalanche of splendor. Ethics, Sanskrit roots, sva, da, self, to place. How do you place yourself? Also, self-will and strength have a lot to do with our understanding of the word. In a sense, ethics means exerting oneself contrary to nature, fighting off temptation, jumping up out of sleep and sloth, restraining oneself. There is a sense in which nature is all crammed in the instant, and to think of time of good, to be ethical, is possibly hubristic, is to go against impulse, against gravity, against nature, but that it is natural to counter nature. Interesting subspecies of the ethics question. Poets tend to go for the gesture and to ally themselves with feeling. Could this tendency put them at odds with the bloodless-seeming plans of ethics for selfish reasons? Because you look good being gestural, because you look good being all warm and poetical. If you work at your art intensely and honestly, what could be more ethical than that? What could ever do more good than the continuation of bringing what Gary Schneider calls the richly interconnected, interdependent, and incredibly complex character of wild ecosystems into the culture? Good poetry, regardless of content, is intrinsically nutrition for language and mind, thus nutrition for life. What could be more moral than frequent surprise? Perhaps ethics means you place yourself, but then everything moves on you. The moral duty of an artist is to make and perhaps disseminate images and moves that advance thought. So what about the ethics of propaganda, of expressivity itself? Is it proper to color language? Can there be falsification for the sake of truth? I say yes, if we take truth to exist, but to also always be in partial embryo or disintegration states, like the word nature is. In other words, sorta. In other words, talk as well as you can, but if you then find yourself leading the country, pause and take stock ethically. In other words, when the scientists try for objectivity, that's okay, but they shouldn't ever think they made it or could. In other words, Ethics is to keep on dividing the remaining distance into halves unless you are a xenophobic. Ethics is the particulars of the general theory of good, or even spelling of good. Ethics could be quitting smoking because you respect yourself biologically enough to do what is possible to continue your work, or it could be keeping on smoking because you feel a value in going contrary to sheer quantity. So ethics is like poetry itself. It certainly depends on uncertainty. It is composed of contradiction. But if you take that as a key, you have lost it. Hauling back from these edges of edges, I would say, it is good to partly put one's work in the service of so-called good. But about 30 seconds after you swell up with pride about it, you're hyperventilating, lying on the side of the road, or you should be. Who knows what is good? We feel clear, we in this room and other rooms these days, that we know what is bad, and that's okay. It's a start. But what is good bounces different ways down the hall of mirrors that represents short times, medium, rare, long, etc., immeasurable times. There could even be an ethic that strives for whatever will eliminate humanity the quickest, as being good for life on Earth. I mean, we are too smart for Earth and too dumb for heaven, but furthering that ethic would be too much fun. It couldn't be truly moral. So ultimately, compromise. Which does not mean do nothing. Take a chance.
I climbed through woods in the hour before dawn dark. Evil air, a frost-making stillness. Not a leaf, not a bird, a world cast in frost. I came out above the wood, where my breath left tortuous statues in the iron light. But the valleys were draining the darkness, till the moor line, blackening dregs of the brightening gray, halved the sky ahead. And I saw the horses, huge in the dense gray, 10 together, megalith still. They breathed, making no move, with draped manes and tilted hind hooves making no sound. I passed. Not one snorted or jerked its head. Gray, silent fragments of a gray, silent world. The left as the Bay of Napoli. Savory. It was a late
Plenty
book
of salt.
given up for lost. It was a late book given up for lost again and again and again, with
Salt.
its sentences again and bare at last, and phrases that
Savory.
seemed transparent, revealing what had been there the whole way. The poems of daylight, after the day, lying open at last on the table, without explanation or emphasis, like sounds left when the syllables have gone, again and again and again and again, clarifying the whole grammar of waiting, not removing one question from the air, or closing the story, although single lights were beginning by then above and below, while the long twilight deepened its silence, until shadow covered the gray pages, after which there was little left to say. Again and again and again, bare at last, the poems of daylight after the table, or emphasis when the syllables have gone, the whole grammar of waiting. On the same spinning planet, are you out there too? Hammer, tulip, aspirate, you slut, you wretch, you lovely, you voiceless, glottal, fricative, you beauty. Flesh this wild thing out is syntactically atrocious. I multiply to eyes a system in which a panorama or else. Diagram me a convulsive body, you field of trampled, you derelict, amoral as a meadow. Give me many petals,
dire oxen pull to thrust out. Satin faggot is love so monotone anyone can hum it? Can anyone traipse as much as us? Is an arsenal enough to free an orchard? Swamp thing, inebriate. I'll arm a garden, we can all live there. Ability to see the cultural value of wilderness boils down, in the last analysis, to a question of intellectual humility. The shallow, my skin as the Adriatic, renewal. And when we photographed the finch with red on its breast and the soft round head slightly larger than our thumb, we felt greedy and that we should make excuses. We called it science, and we came as aesthetes and dilettantes, the artifice of our photographs revealing our sensibilities, purveyors of blushed brown feathers, our shadow in the frame. We were unprofessional. We lacked scientific objectivity, our bulwark and bastion. We came to the body of a bird as if to a lover's. We came with humility. We came for grace. We came on hooves and with the bodies of men. Our cheeks were flushed and our mouths dry. We betrayed ourselves. Despair might seem the logical response to such figures. In this way, the hazard of looking objectively at global warming can be almost as great as refusing to see the problem at all. Surrounded by bones, surrounded by cells, by rings of hell, by hair, surrounded by air as a thing, surrounded by silhouette, by honey-wet bees, yet by skeletons of trees, surrounded by actual, yes, for practical purposes, people, surrounded by surreal popcorn, surrounded by the reborn, surrender in the center to surroundings. Despair might seem the logical response to such figures. In this way, the hazard of looking objectively at global warming can be almost as great as refusing to see the problem at all. Of surrender forever, never end her, let her blend around, surrender to surroundings that surround the tender endo-surrender, that tumble through the tumbling to that blue that curls around the crumbling, to that, the blue that rumbles under the sun, bounding the pearl that we walk on, talk on. We can chalk that up to experience, sensing the brown here that's blue now, a drop of water surrounding a cow that's black and white, the warbling Blackburnian twitter that's machining midnight orange in the light that's glittering in the light green visible wind. That's the ticket to the tunnel through the thicket. That's a cricket's funnel of music to correct and pick it out from under the wing that whirls up, over, and out. Our lamentation creates equity rather than excess, but it also makes motion, that we might be known for knowing. We wish to believe that the lover has made a drawer for us when we are gone, lined with a map of our hometown or the paper from a gift we gave. Love letters, photographs, stones smelling of the ocean. It may never be returned to, but it will be when we are not. And perhaps the new lover will find it, and in some way we are reintroduced, known by the ephemera by which we wanted to be known. When was it that my skin as the Adriatic? Died? Renewal. Someone said when the first atmospheric engine cranked into motion. Someone said when the atomic bomb bloomed over the desert at Trinity Site. But these are only a few of the more recent times when everything, mold my shoulders inward to you, occlude me. The look shines out from each glass-walled eyeball bathed in its device light, a glottal stillness, an eardrum and kissed home. It glues its glittering look onto every surface. When was it that everything first died? At the worn mouth of the hole, flight after flight after flight, the swoop of his wings gloved and kissed home. But doesn't everything look that way? I mean, everything that thinks it's alive, like thing and like time, which are the same, a cutting apart, a gathering. When was it that everything first died? Maybe it was when humans first made their way to new territory, lacking human predators. Let me listen under your eaves, be damp clay pouting, occlude me, mold my shoulders inward to a what I want lens on the world. It glues its glittering look onto every surface. But doesn't everything look that way? I mean, everything that thinks it's alive. The look shines out from each glass-walled eyeball bathed in its device light. The ocean of dead things drip, which people think of as time. Drip, but people are mistaken about everything. Drip, being mistaken, in other words, having already caused the death of everything. Fetch me the sand martin, skimming and veering breast to breast with himself in the clouds of the river, which exists only as imprecision. The death of everything. People had to invent a language with imprecise words, which exist only as imprecision, to try and bridge their confusion, like thing and like time, which are the same, a cutting apart, a gathering. Certain people believed themselves alive. Maybe even that's what we who have died understand as life. That glitter. A glottal stillness. Far in, a silence of water lipping the bank. Rain, not colliding. Divergent, tender drops. Eaves of slip-leaving stratum baptism, not colliding discreetly. For the children, the rising hills, the slopes of statistics lie before us. The steep climb of everything, going up, up, as we all go down. Imagine chimp, eternity and instant mingled, sun and moon and mus, all ever present, estrus, meal, dream, and infant coefficient, and tomorrow never comes. Imagine man beginning to extend pragmatics into months. He slides a seed. Must earth declare I do to make her wife, to draw her circle? Death's the crumpled horn. Control or curving over. Tiger tech a crouch on a broken rhyme. Effect rolls out past finger time. The lover tips now no longer touches. Lost in time. Prevision. See, prevent the future. No, doth syncopate. Yes, yes, clear. Out from where to go. As the time draws nigh, glooming a cloud, a dread beyond of I know not what darkens me. I shall go forth. I shall traverse the states a while, but I cannot tell whither or how long. Perhaps soon, some day or night, while I am singing, my voice will suddenly cease. O book, O chance, must all then amount to but this? Must we barely arrive at this beginning of us? And yet, it is enough, O soul. O soul, we have positively appeared. That is enough. Things just got real fresh. Grade A garden ease, artificial grass mat, cat chow poisoned you with the moth. 30 years of loving the earth stash. Sound control solution for organic studs, Turkle radio archive, Sense and Sensibility, cotton to cashmere with clean stretch for a confident clean. Scientifically engineered to defy gravity, always here. OSD Naturals, we're so happy our paths have crossed. Special offers cure, add more flavor. Makes the night tofurkey kielbasa cool house. Natural ingredients, wheat, corn, and soy-free organic jumbo brown multigrain macadamia nut mousse munch popcorn with herbs and spices just for you. Healthy living, well-being, and fitness push our buttons. Safety never felt so good, feel better. Play through sensible sound solutions. Song, the only home-use device on the market. Nature's Path. 440 sound barrier. It does so much so well. Presenting the blue cash from American Express in tiers, related over the tax-smart options to extend healthy water activities, roasted seaweed, summer sounds, introducing Kairabach, Dip suddenly down, quick cook, keep refrigerated, our bakers come in early. Pacifica Ritual Community Services, California SEFS compliant hint, fireplace 150 off a pack of black menthol, words might settle over all. Scorched earth food for life, crisps made in LA, success stories and rave reviews. Over 5 million sold. 888-654 FIRE. In the next century, or the one beyond that, they say, are valleys, pastures. We can meet there in peace if we make it. To climb these coming crusts, one word to you and your children. Stay together. Learn the flowers. Go light. Sometimes a document is more to become a monument in letters for time's sake. Stay together. Learn the flowers. Go light. Stay together. Learn the flowers. Go light. Stay together. Learn the flowers. Go light. Stay together. Learn the flowers.